Andrew Tate reveals what certain powers have against Muslims. Let's hear it.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters.
I hope you are well. The
phrase, money is the root of all evil, is a common saying that has been debated in various ways throughout history. Surprisingly, even after acknowledging this fact, people from all corners of the world, especially from the western part, have now changed this phrase to Islam is the root cause of all evil.
That's wrong.
They are of the opinion that for a modern and peaceful world, one needs to be free from all the restrictions. And as Islam is the only religion and apparently is filled with restrictions and foundations,
with morals,
it is therefore viewed as a threat to liberal and free societies.
Yeah, but the issue is we are lacking any morals and principles in modern society. Like, people can do whatever they want. Like, I'm actually not surprised if one day a law comes that allows to marry animals even or something. Like, the world is going completely crazy. Like, I almost don't watch the news anymore. Like, it's just full of crazy stuff.
Recently, influencer Andrew Tate appeared in a podcast by famous podcaster Matt Kim, where he discussed and revealed the ideology of the West and why it is so against the values of Islam. He stated that he was very disturbed and concerned about the ongoing unimaginable crisis in Gaza.
Yeah.
He explained that this is all because of the weapon industry wants to make money out of lies and manipulation, and in reality, they don't care about anyone but money. He also said that the big media houses only say and show what is allowed by their owners, and thus they cannot be trusted.
Yeah.
And I was on Twitter and I was watching all the bombings in Gaza. I was like, bro, they're literally killing kids. And this isn't about Palestine, Israel, 1947. Cool, that's a long and detailed argument. They are killing children with bombs. I have a kid that age.
Yeah.
I see a kid missing her arm, a little girl the same age as my daughter. I mean, every single thing they've done. If you look at anything that has resulted in the death of millions of lives, any war, name a war that wasn't built on a lie. Name one. Millions of lives lost, millions of lives affected by extension, fathers lost, brothers lost, sons lost. For what? For a lie. And what was the point of the lie? Money.
That is actually, unfortunately, a sad reality. Like they say, money rules the world, right? And if someone like a certain country, for example, has like a lot of oil, it's easy that this certain country becomes a target, right? And same when, there can be a resort place for like tourism. You know what? But that land actually belongs to another country. You know what? Let's just take the land anyway, so we can build the resorts like hotels and all that sort of stuff, and we can have like some sort of vacation industry there. Or hey, maybe they have some minerals we can dig up or something, right? Like there are a lot of secret agendas like that. But yeah, the thing about certain events and stuff, like if you are a father, like he has a daughter, right? And he sees like images of others losing their daughters or something, of course he can relate to that because he himself has a daughter, right? And about the Palestine situations, it's not just Muslims that are supporting it, but there are like even more and more Christians and atheists actually saying free Palestine, right? And why are they saying free Palestine? Because they see a lot of injustice, and a lot of the people that are against it have children themselves. And yeah, it's actually in Islam there's something like a lot of people don't know, but in Islam there are actually rules for war, right? So if there's a war going on, who can you not harm? It is children, women, elderly people, and bystanders. It can be farmers, fishermen, like just innocent people that are not participants of this conflict, right? And they are under protection under Islamic Sharia, right? So if there are certain rules and regulation, and the UN Charter, if you look at the UN Charter, right, and the laws for like human rights, they're being right now violated over there because they're not actually sticking to the rules, because we get like there are like kids and elderly people caught up in this. They have nothing to do with that. They just have their apartment there. They are too broke. They don't have the cash to move out somewhere else. So what do you expect them to do? Book a flight that they can't afford? Like, can you imagine how expensive it is actually to book a flight from over there to, let's say, Germany or to the US? Like, it costs a lot. Some people, they never go on vacation because they don't have the money. So if there's a conflict going on, do you expect them to book a flight to the US or to Germany? Plus, where will they stay there? They have to pay there for an apartment every month without a job. Like, who's going to pay for their housing? Like, nobody's going to pay for that, right? So how can they just move out even of the area? Like some people are saying, why are not all people fleeing? Do they have the money to book a flight? Do they get like a visa for tourism to stay half year or somewhere, right? And how do they finance the half year over there? Like in reality, it is not so easy to move out from your apartment when you don't even have much to begin with. Like how can you afford a flight? How do you pay your living expenses and housing for half a year or a year, and you don't even know how long this conflict will be going on? So in reality, it is impossible for a lot of people to relocate because they don't have the money for it. Like it sounds so easy in theory, right? Like, oh, let's just move out there and maybe the government will support you. But the government is slow sometimes. Like I've heard from people even here in Germany that came as immigrants that sometimes they have to wait for several months to even get a single paycheck from the government of financial support, or until they actually get an apartment found for them. It can take months, sometimes years for some people. So it's not so easy to relocate. And yeah, this is a sad reality.
And what was the point of the lie? Money. I don't think many people understand truly how evil the agenda is. I wouldn't, if I had a button right here, I have a lot of money, right? If I had a button right here and I could press the button and someone random on earth would die and I'd get money, I wouldn't press it because I'd feel bad because I don't want the money. But there are people out there who will not just press that button. They'll sleep on the button for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
They'll just sleep on it permanently as arm manufacturers make weapons and destroy random farmers in some random country under the guise of freedom. They'll make up a lie and they'll just justify it somehow and they'll sleep easy at night. It's truly evil.
Additionally, he said that the West has now started blaming Islam for taking over Western countries, as they perceive Islam as being the religion of only the Middle East, as
That's not true.
The origin of Christianity was not from the very same region. The reason for this takeover is not only Islam being a powerful and influential religion.
Yeah, that's like so funny. Like if you look at like Christianity, did Christianity originate somewhere around Italy, like the Vatican region? No. But why is the Pope and why is the Vatican in like around the Italy area, right? Like why is it there? Why is it not somewhere like closer to Israel or something, right? Like why? Or same with if people here in Germany are saying, Islam is a foreign religion, it is an Arabic, a Turkish religion, it should be in the Middle East, not here. Then what about Christianity? You shouldn't even be a Christian then, because Christianity did not start in Germany or in the US, right? It's actually funny. Like, you know, like what is like actually pissing me off, astaghfirullah, like what makes me upset these days is when you hear in the media or like people that are against something actually doing like the opposite, right? Like if someone is a Christian says Islam doesn't belong here, it doesn't even come from this region, then the Christian shouldn't be a Christian because his religion doesn't come from the region. Or if at certain parts of the world, Ukraine, right, like people are having a hard time and they really are having a hard time, I feel very sorry for them. I hope everything is going to be okay. May Allah actually bring peace to the whole world, right? I mean, but yeah, if they are suffering, certain powers are saying, oh, this is so bad, we must help them. But if in other parts of the world this is happening and they are Muslims, they're all silent. Like they're all silent. They're not doing anything right now, really. They're like just watching, doing nothing, right? But if it's a Christian country or atheist country, oh, we must help them. Is it a Muslim country? I'm sorry, it's not our business. Like, what the heck? Like, what kind of double standard is this? Like, where are the morals these days? Don't we have, like, human rights? Where are the human rights protected here? Like, one part of the world has a privilege over another because of their beliefs or what? Like, that's the world we're living in right now, unfortunately.
But also the weakening and downfall of the values of Christianity. Christianity is now synonymous with atheism. And this is why people in the West are left with only two options, either to follow atheism or to follow Islam.
Yeah.
He explained his point by saying that Christianity is now leaving its worship of God and that society is now adopting total freedom.
That's true.
Which includes no restriction whatsoever.
I have a proof for you guys. If you have the time today, go on YouTube. You can do this on Google as well and type in the Pope allows the blessing for same-gender couples. Like, look this up. The Pope now allows that priests can bless same-gender couples if they get married. Like look online, Google this. This is actually true. The Pope now allows to bless same-gender couples.
And a society that is driven by love of only
it's forbidden
money
in the
and
Bible.
profit.
It's forbidden in
He
the Bible.
pointed out that being free from all the bounds is actually the phrase and aim of Satanists and Satanism. And therefore, we can say that the West is thus influenced by Satanism. They want to get rid of Islam, and Islam is the only religion that does not bend its rules as per the era.
Exactly,
And it is
it's
indeed
authentic.
the last religion on the face of the planet.
Allahu Akbar.
Christianity's reached a point where it's mocked so openly and so publicly in Christian nations.
Yeah,
That breaks
nobody
my
defends
heart.
it.
And I think the attraction of Islam, for me personally, and also for a lot of other people now, is there's a lot of people who are just tired of being mocked. And they want a religion which they respect and other people respect.
Yeah, so they're
and you can
reverting to
disagree
Islam.
with Islam all you want. And whether you're an atheist or you're a Christian, you can disagree with it all you want. And I'm not an Islamic scholar to argue that point. However, I will argue the point that it is the most respected religion on the planet.
True.
Nobody openly mocks it without fear. If they do, they at least make sure they're very careful about hiding their face or hiding behind a police barricade. Whereas people will mock Christianity openly and think it's a joke. And I feel like it's time for the Christians to take power back by ensuring that their religion is respected. I have some good friends in England who are particularly conservative, and they're upset by the changing demographics of the nation. And as I'm a mixed race American living in Romania who's reverted to Islam, so I'm a complete mongrel.
Yeah.
However, I grew up in England, and I do understand the innate culture of England, and I do understand why they feel threatened by all these outside people coming in, and I do understand how that's negatively affecting the crime rate, and I do agree with them that they want England to be British. Why shouldn't they? It's their nation. I completely respect it, and a lot of
why is this happening? Guys, let me actually explain you why this is happening, why there's like a lot of immigration going on in Western countries. And this is something that the media doesn't tell you, and you have to actually read between the lines to actually understand what's going on. And I can tell you this now from a German perspective, why we have a lot of immigration in Germany. This is actually embarrassing almost for Germans to admit, but the birth rate is on such a heavy decline, and people are so focused on certain careers here in Germany that where we have certain areas of work where we can't find enough employees here in Germany. Yes, I'm not joking. For example, the nursing area here in Germany. Same with schools, even kindergartens, daycare centers. There's a high lack of employees. There are not enough workers. And now more and more companies are deciding to hire from outside of the country and give people a visa to come here for an apprenticeship or for a full-time contract, right? Because there are not enough people to fill in for those free positions, for those jobs, right? So now there's like a lot of immigration happening in Germany. And now people that come from other countries, they often come not just it's not always like Muslim countries. It can also be like Eastern European countries that are more orthodox when it comes to Christianity, right? But they come from backgrounds where their culture or religion has like higher family values. So they usually have 2, 3, sometimes even 4 kids, right? And they get married not so late. Like they're often married before their 30s. But Germans these days, they marry often above 30 or when they turn 30, what is quite late, because they say if someone is marrying earlier, let's say early 20s, it is more likely they have 2 or 3 children, because you often, after you give birth, like women can be tired, right? So they want 2 or 3 years of rest until they get pregnant again, right? And if you do the math, and each birth takes approximately like a cycle, right, from birth to a new kid, can take about 3 to 4 years on average. So in the middle 30s, there's a higher risk of some miscarriage or issues with the women, right? It starts once you're like mid 30s going towards 40s, scientists and doctors say, right? So you have to start making children in your mid 20s. But if a lot of Germans are not married in their mid 20s and they don't have the first child, like how do you expect them to have 3 or 4 children when they're in their early 30s? Some are even divorced by then or have 1 child or no child. And if you do the math, 2 parents, 1 child, 1 person dies, like, and then the other one dies, the other one is still alive. So mathematically, you need a birth rate that is above 2. You need 2.1 or higher to have a population growth. Now, if Germans have 1 to 0 kids, or it's like 1.7%, I think, what is it like now? 1.6% they say or something. So if it's 1.6% birth rate amongst native Germans, if the numbers are correct, because I think last time I checked was like 1.6. That means the population of the Germans, natives, is on decline. Now, if another group immigrates and they have 2.3% birth rate versus 1.6, you can already tell in the next hundreds of years where the population shift will happen and which number of people will have more members, right? So like which group of people are going to be more populous in the next 200-300 years. You can tell by those numbers. So yeah, and why is this happening? Because the native people here, also in Germany, they are losing their religion. Christianity is on a decline. All those principles, no sex before marriage, this and that, like all those principles are being thrown out of the window, like literally. Like all the morals are disappearing. Like they're saying we live in a free world. But why is a free world so great when it has so many drawbacks and negatives, right? That now actually they are seeking help from the not so free world, right? Same when it comes to producing stuff. Here in Germany and also other countries, we're importing from abroad so many products and things because here we can't do this for some reason. And I don't get this. Because here's a free world and people have, I don't know, maybe so much freedom that it hurts the economy. I'm very confused. I don't know, why can't we produce here in Germany? So what are we doing? We're going to other countries that are considered less free, less liberal, more conservative, right? And we're getting their help to get stuff done here. Like, do you guys see my point? Like, there's hatred towards a group of people that are beneficial for the country, and yet they're being demonized. Like, that makes no sense. It's like a hand is feeding you or helping you, and you're biting that hand or something. It doesn't make any sense. Same with like hate against immigration, where the immigrants are are keeping the economy actually stable because they're filling those jobs where there are not enough native people to fill the jobs with, right? So yeah, the world has become crazy. That's why I said earlier, I'm even starting to stay away from the media more and more because there's just the bullshit repeated over and over again. Astaghfirullah.
Them are very anti-Islam, and I try and explain to them, I agree with you completely in your points of view. That may be confusing to you of why I can be a Muslim, but I can agree with the fact that you want to preserve the UK. But you're mad at Islam like it's Islam's fault, and it's not. It's a universal law. It's a law of the universe that power vacuums get filled. You can't, as Muslims, turn up to a strongly, truly Christian nation and just conquer the religious landscape if Christianity is being absolutely respected.
But
perhaps in America it's not so bad, but in Europe, people keep complaining about the spread of Islam. Well, where's Christianity? If you leave a complete power vacuum, what do you expect to happen?
Yeah.
In America, you just name there's certain parts of it which are still Christian. You'll struggle to find very many Christian parts of Europe. We're here in Romania, which is one of the most Christian countries in the world, and Eastern Europe does have a degree of Christianity left.
Yeah,
but in the West, there's no God at all besides Islam. You're either an atheist or you're a Muslim. And if I had to choose between the two, or if I had to choose which one I'd want my son to be, I'd choose for them to be Islamic. I often say this to people. I say, would you rather your son come home and say he's transgender or say he's a Muslim? Because we're getting to that point.
Yeah.
If Christianity keeps failing, you're going to end up with a son that's either going to come home and be a liberal or come home and be a Muslim. Which one would you choose? I'd actually like to ask this to all the conservative Christians in America, and they'll say, Jesus is king. And I'll say, good, I respect that. But let's pretend, for a thought experiment, that I'm right, and that Christianity is little by little, like we talked about, inch by inch, giving up power and being decimated in real time. And at some point in the future, you have two choices: liberal insanity and transgenderism, or Islam. Which one would you choose? And I think most Christians would actually sit, if they answered honestly, and say, I'd rather them worship God. I'd rather Islam. So I love the fact that there's some religious conviction left in America.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned about the fact that one of the primary goals of religion shouldn't only be the salvation of souls. It should be the sanctimoniousness, if that's a word, or the sanctimony of the society it presides over. It should be responsible for preserving the culture. Christianity should be responsible for preserving the culture of the USA. And in certain areas, it seems to be successful, but in many areas, it is failing. Whereas Islam, I feel like, is better at preserving the culture of the nations it subsides over. So if you measure the success of a religion, it's hard to say Islam's not.
You know, it's like funny what he just said. I actually think same here in Germany. If Germany had like more Muslims, probably Muslims are the reason why German culture is actually not dying out. I'm gonna tell you guys why. It's actually funny when you think about it, right? But what he said is correct. Actually, Islam is not destroying the culture. It's actually protecting the culture, because this liberalism and, hey, let's do whatever we want. There are no more rules, no more mores. This is actually what actually kills traditions and values, right? While Islam actually preserves values, right? And if the traditions are not connected with haram things, you can actually still keep your culture, right? Unless the culture says, do intoxicants, do alcohol, this, do zina, do this. Like, of course, if it leads to like calling people to sin or to dress a certain improper way, the culture and Islam comes. Of course, there's a conflict, but if it's like a harmless culture, right? Or something that is about, like, let's say, architecture, language, how certain family structures are this and that are actually very similar, for example, to Islam, which you often actually find in older European cultures. They actually, some older European cultures have similarities with Islam because there are certain strong values, or where the parents are actually getting involved when their kids get married, right? Like, there are some European cultures, and you can actually look this up, where back in the day, the parents would introduce spouses to their children, and it's not forced marriage, but introduction and stuff. And this sort of culture is actually dying out in a lot of European countries, because even old school Christians used to introduce potential spouses to their kids. Now the potential spouses are being introduced with Tinder and stuff, right? And then the daughter comes home crying, saying, oh, she had her first time with some stranger on the internet and he broke up, and maybe she's now even pregnant and she doesn't know where this guy is or something. Like, I'm actually not kidding, guys. This is like what I just said, this example. This sometimes happens where people are meeting someone online, they think it's a great love, but it's some sort of one night stand or something, and they just disappear, and the children are crying to their parents that their heart has been broken. And this is because even culture and values and morals are disappearing, because parents, they no longer actually teach this, because they themselves are no longer good Christians, for example. So I agree here with Andrew Tate.
Subsides over. So if you measure the success of a religion, it's hard to say Islam's not a successful religion. Islamic nations are Islamic, and they feel Islamic. And it's hard to go against the Islamic norms and the Islamic thoughts in Islamic nations. Whereas in Christian nations now, I just feel like they're so publicly attacked. And that truly breaks my heart. My brother's a Christian. Him and I have very long debates about Islam versus Christianity, and we don't do it publicly because I don't want to start a fire, because I see Christians as my brothers. We're on the same team.
Yeah.
But it really breaks my heart. It's upsetting. When I see these gay preachers and the Pope talking about same-sex marriage and how important transgenderism, that breaks my heart. And I'm not even Christian. I just think it's so sad.
Yeah, they're throwing away part of the Bible.
It's weird when they embrace ideas that they're supposed to be so avidly against.
Yeah, it's
right?
in the Bible.
That really throws a lot of people
it.
off. Do you ever consider that, because if we're in a war of good and evil, and that's really the force behind the world, right? There's good and there's evil. Yeah. Do you ever wonder that maybe everyone's worshiping the same God, we just call them different ways?
It's super interesting you said that, because yes, I do think, like, especially Christianity and Islam, I've read the Bible and I've read the Quran, and there's so much
same
closer
roots.
than people realize. People think that, especially traditional American Christians, as you just named, if you were to get the average Christian from Georgia in the countryside, he will see Islam as this far off Arabic religion.
Yeah.
It's for Middle Eastern people. Well, so is Christianity. It's from the same place. So they're from the same place. Only 20% of Muslims are Arabic anyway. There's huge Islamic nations which are Asian. There's Indonesia, Malaysia, there's huge Islamic nations. Why am I so adamant in my support for Palestine, which is a liberal ideal, right? So I hold different ideas on both sides of the fence, because that's how I view the world. Some of these guys which instantly sign up with, like, Daily Wire team. I love Candace. She's amazing and she's true. But some of these other people on the Daily Wire, every single thing is exactly what they were told to say and what they believe.
Yeah, no free
Well,
mind.
then you have to ask a question. Have they just sold their soul to the other side? Because they've got their sponsorship contract from the Daily Wire and they say what they're supposed to say.
This is why I'm saying there's no true democracy these days. Like, people are saying, oh, we live in a free world, free speech, free democracy. Like, if you have an opinion that's against mainstream, you actually have no right to say anything, because even though you maybe don't get directly punished for saying certain thing, they find indirect ways to destroy you, right? They're just gonna okay, let's say it's like a cancel culture, right? They're gonna find ways to cancel you, ruin your business, and boycott you in a way, right? So if this was really a free democracy and free world, you should not get any harm by just stating your opinion. There shouldn't be boycotts or hate speeches against you, this and that, and then they maybe even destroy your business or something. Like, everyone should have their opinion and don't get any harm for it or something, right? But this is not the case, because if you are not following mainstream opinion or what your boss says, you get punished for it in a democratic world. So you can't have another opinion than another person because it has negative consequences for you. Is that a free world? Is that free speech? In my opinion, this is not. This is like pseudo-democracy, pseudo-free speech. It's like you think it's free speech because you can do a certain action, but you cannot, because if you do a certain action, it's gonna have like a punishment, a negative consequence for you, right? Even if it's indirectly, it still has a consequence. So in a free speech world, you shouldn't have a negative consequence by just saying something, except that people disagree with you. But if there's any physical action being done against you, and a physical action can even be you don't longer get paid and now you're actually struggling to finance yourself, you are unemployed because you stated something in a democratic country, or because you follow a certain religion, they don't hire you. Another example is, and this is a daily life example, and I have actually heard about this, and I actually know one person like this. So there's a sister, she wears the hijab, right? And she does her apprenticeship. Her first year is fine. She does nursing, no consequences, nothing. And then she suddenly has to change the company for a half year to actually finish her studies or something. And in this company, they actually are threatening her. They are saying, take off your hijab. If you don't take off your hijab, you will be fired. And if you will be fired, you have to drop out of school. You can't finish your studies there, because here there's a no hijab rule or something. And this is happening in a democratic free world country here in Germany. People are being kicked out of their job because they don't want to take off the hijab. But like, what is this? Isn't there like freedom of religion? Like, why does it matter how you dress if you're not hurting or harming anyone, right? For example. So this is why I'm saying we don't really have a free world or true democracy, because if there was a true democracy, you can dress and act the way you want. It's not a free world. It's fake. It's an illusion.
And they repeat what they're supposed to repeat. Otherwise, they lose their money. And then you start to say, well, who's behind them? And that's where controlled opposition comes from. Controlled opposition is just going to be, I mean, if I had a whole bunch of money and I was sponsoring liberal ideals, the people who were combating those liberal ideals, if I could pay them enough money to only semi-combat the non-important ones and allow me to get away with the really important stuff, all for a little bit of money, which I have plenty of and I don't value anyway, well, then I'd do that, wouldn't I? It'd be a fool to think there's not controlled opposition in the world.
You would be surprised to know that each and every word that Andrew Tate discussed here was absolutely true.
I agree.
The world has now started worshipping money and has taken the desires of its soul and
shaitan.
primary objective of its living. Such people do not care about the extreme loss of life in Gaza or any other place for that matter, because their only goal is to make money. It is true that the satanic cults use slogans like "free from all chains" and lure others to join Satanism by offering them money and other worldly benefits. Islam is the only religion that states very clearly that money and treasures of this world are only temporary.
That's
and
true.
we need not attach our hearts to them, as it will only lead us away from our faith and ruin our akhirah. The West is fearful of Islam because they view it as being too hardline, but they do not know that Islam is the only true way of life
and
the
society.
only path that is chosen by our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from the treacheries of this dunya. Ameen. That's it for today, brothers and sisters. I hope you liked the video. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. We would love to hear from you. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Share this video with your family and friends.
You know what? I have so many comments to make about this. I could make like a 1 hour plus video on this topic actually. Maybe one day I should do that, right? No, but seriously, to summarize what like Andrew Tate is saying, so he sees the same thing that I saw before I became a Muslim, that Christianity is on a decline. Like, Christians are more and more rejecting parts of the Bible and having their own views and opinions that they mix with religion. that sometimes even speaks against certain commandments in the Bible, or how our family is formed, how you should be to your neighbors, how you should treat others, what should you do when people next to you are struggling. Like, there are a lot of good lessons. Like, it's like interesting when you think about it. Yeah, I'm a Muslim. I believe Islam is the truth. But from a society viewpoint, if Christianity was actually practiced way stronger, even then society would sort of improve, right? But Christianity isn't as it used to be, right? Like I said, there are some cultures, and even they are non-Muslim, where the parents actually encourage children to not sleep around, to wait until marriage, and they will actually help them find a spouse. And now you have like depressed people that are not happy with themselves anymore. They need to see psychologists. They need to take intoxicants to wash away the pain, to forget a moment in time, right, in their past, right? Maybe they made some bad experiences. They were heartbroken, so now they are swallowing pills or something to forget about it, right? There are a lot of people these days, even young ones, that are very depressed, and it often also happens because of a failed relationship or something, right? Or because they had several partners, it didn't go well, and now they don't even know their self-value or purpose anymore. They just live every day and think entertainment is a way to get over their pain and stuff. And even though it helps them temporarily to do like fun stuff, or maybe go to a nightclub, right? It is a temporary distraction. If they come home from this place, for example, they are sad and depressed again. The only thing that keeps a human happy and firm and stable is if they have a direct connection to their creator, if they know their purpose and meaning in life. Only this really makes you happy. You can distract yourself with your phone, with activities, with whatever, as much as you want, but it's only temporarily. You will always find moments where you don't have this sort of entertainment, or you don't have the company of others. And if in those moments you're depressed, sometimes it's overwhelming. There are people actually, they don't even get to an old age because of depression. It is sad. It's a sad reality. Like, if you look at like what scientists and psychologists are saying, that people are in these days more often depressed than they were 100 years ago, for example. It's a fact. Scientists are even saying that. But yeah, I agree totally with Andrew Tate, and how people care more about their finances and money than morals and principles, and people are so easily sold out to like the mainstream, right? Someone has an opinion, you disagree with that, right? In your heart, maybe in your mind, but you verbally agree with that, or by your actions, because you want some benefit. So this is, to me, like, this is like basically you sell your soul. You have a different thought, different opinion, but you throw away your morals and your opinion just to fit in, right? And just to get rewarded by society. I think that is so wrong. And that is not true freedom. This is not a true democracy. If you have to follow another's opinion to be successful, like, why can't you have your own opinion, right? This is stupid. But yeah, guys, if you are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. And I will see you guys next time.